Let's hope Vengeance Day doesn't turn out to be a St. Valentine's Day massive failure. I'm Chris Wolvie, the wrestling vlog who always tells it like it is. 5 out of 6 for the Royal Rumble, yeah! Got the women's Rumble right, though not the men's. I knew Edge would make it to the end, but never thought he'd win. Oh well. You could also say it was more like 4.5 out of 6, since I thought McIntyre would win by disqualification. But how was I to know Strowman was fighting a blood disease? Anyway, the last time the WWE had a pay-per-view on Valentine's Day was way back in 1999. That was when Stone Cold Steve Austin faced Mr. McMahon in a steel cage match. This led to the debut of the Big Show, who quite literally threw Austin through the cage, leading to Austin's victory and his solidification in the WrestleMania 15 main event. Yeah, not the brightest idea, but still pretty cool looking. Now, 22 years later, the NXT drags out the old Vengeance pay-per-view name for their own little event inside the Capitol Wrestling Center. Both of Dusty Rhodes' cups will be grabbed. That sounded better in my head. The North American title will be defended, albeit reluctantly. The women's title will be in a triple threat, and finally, Finn Balor defends the primary title, though not against who I hoped he would. Seems pretty solid, so let's hope it doesn't end bloody awful. Here are my predictions for NXT TAKEOVER Vengeance Day. We start with the finals of what I believe is still an ill-advised Dusty Rhodes Women's Tag Team Classic. Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez versus Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. Okay, even I admit that Shotzi is the coolest female in NXT since Asuka split for Raw. I'm a little disappointed that Ember Moon pulled a Finn Balor and went back to NXT after recovery, but can't say she hasn't been effective. And Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez have been a pretty tight squad over the last number of months, so it's kind of hard for me to pick. I tend to lean towards Kai and Gonzalez as they've been clicking for some time, but Moon and Blackheart have clicked rather quickly over the last 2 matches, including the last one against the much tighter females of The Way. And well, I would like to see faces take the first ever Dusty Cup for women. So with a bit of trepidation, my pick is Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. Finals of the men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. MSK versus the Grizzled Young Veterans. To say that MSK have a bright future in front of them, well, I'm not so sure. Unless they challenge for the NXT tag titles within a year, I can only see them as going up against Everrise and the Bollywood Boys on 205 Live. That's not to say I think they'll earn such a title this time, no matter how meteoric their rise to the top has been. But James Drake and Zach Gibson are just the latest in a group of NXT UK superstars that somehow crossed the pond during a pandemic and made it their goal to show American teams how it's done. Oh sure, it would be easier to have Wesley and James Drake challenge the heels of Lorcan and Birch, but I don't think those two care about who wins because they think they'll trounce them anyway. GYV have waited a good while to get some recognition here, and they're not going to let upstarts like MSK get in their way. Winners are the Grizzled Young Veterans. Triple threat match for the NXT Women's Championship. Io Shirai defends against Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez. Do I think that Io Shirai seems like the second coming of Asuka in the NXT? Hells no. She may be good, great even, but she's become a bit cocky as her reign has continued. And I can think of no more appropriate match for her to drop the title. After all, she won the title in a triple threat by pinning the non-champ in a match. It would be apropos for her to lose it without being involved in the decision. But who would pin whom to earn the title? Nothing against Martinez, she's a good competitor, but Toni Storm's been itching for that title for a long time now. Or she might drop it to the likes of Ember Moon before WrestleMania, but let her have it for a little while beforehand. Winner and new champ, Toni Storm. North American Championship, Johnny Gargano versus Kushida. And with that, I officially dropped Kushida from the cruiserweight ranks, as it's quite obvious he has bigger fish to stir fry. Actually, it's pretty interesting that both primary and secondary titles are being challenged by those under the 205-pound line. Anyway, with the rest of the way at ringside, this is a 4-on-1. Kushida may be good, but not that good. Or he might get lucky, and the way could get sent back to the locker room by the ref. But Gargano didn't get where he is today by sheer luck or craftiness. He does have skills, he just would rather not show them off. But if he's going to beat Kushida, he's going to have to show them off. And when he does, Kushida won't stand a chance. Winner and still champion, Johnny Gargano. Finally, the NXT Championship. Finn Balor defends against Pete Dunne. Was it really a year ago when Riddle and Dunne were en route to the NXT Tag Team titles? Now he's a pissed off UK man looking for gold of his own? Well, I gotta say, if there's one person besides Karrion Kross who has a shot at beating the Prince, it's the Bruiserweight. We've seen just how vicious he can be, especially with Lorcan and Birch at his side. And yes, this sounds much like the same 3-on-1 of the North American match, except I don't think Balor will have to go at it alone. Someone relayed to me that this will be the first NXT pay-per-view in a long time that didn't involve the Undisputed Era in an actual match. But that doesn't mean Cole, Strong, and Fish are just gonna take the night off. Pardon. They dislike Dunne, Lorcan, and Birch just as much, if not more, than Balor does. I suspect they'll show up if the tag champs start to do nasty things and make sure they stop doing them. It may end up in a brawl outside, but that will be the opening needed for Balor to make his opponent done and done. Winner and still champ, Finn Balor. Those are my picks. I'll see you next week for Elimination Chamber picks. I'm Chris Wolvie, the Wrestling Blogger, who always tells it like it is. Stay safe, and I'll see you.